Welcome to the channel, everybody. Today, have I got some exciting news for you. 0.85 Hell's Kitchen has finally dropped. It dropped last night, so if you haven't already gone and updated over on your Steam, head over there now and jump straight in. It's amazing. I played a few hours last night, and I can already notice slight changes that are making a world of difference. So, first up, before we go into anything, it's no secret that we had to do a soft wipe for the update with the amount of reworks placed. With soft wipes, usually gold is left alone and is one of the main purposes for it. Unfortunately, we saw a lot of gold being brought due to exploits since the last wipe, and decided that gold will be wiped this time as well. So, if we get straight into the actual dev patch now then. So, loot rework. Now, this is one that I played for about 3 hours last night, and I could already notice the changes in this loot rework. And in my opinion, I love it. I find it a lot better already. So, loot rework is finally here, and it is hefty. In the back end, our level designers went and reworked each and every spawner for the rework, so you will see loot that makes much more sense. Looting will now be a much more pleasant experience and more important. One of the bigger changes you will notice is that loot no longer resets on server restart. So this is a big point to make. So usually what you'll do is, if you find yourself inside a bunker and it's 2 minutes till the reset and you've looted it all up, what you'll do is you'll wait. The reset will happen. You'll join back in after the reset and all the loot spawn back into the bunker. So you could then re-loot the bunker again. So basically you're getting two bunker runs out of one bunker just because a reset's happened. Now they've changed this, so you're no longer going to actually be able to do this. My opinion, it's a lot better. But some people are probably not going to like it. Then again, you're not going to please everyone, are you? So, as I said, in my opinion, I feel like this is a lot better way of doing it. So, basically, after restarts now, loot isn't just going to spawn in back where it was before. You know, it's going to be a random loot spawner. So, it doesn't matter if you go there what time of day, there might not be loot. So now you don't even know if someone's been in the area, because you could be looting an area, not finding anything, thinking, oh, someone's been here, when in reality, probably no one's been there, there's just no loot there. So it gives it a bit more towards the game, and yeah, thoroughly enjoying that loot rework last night when I was just, you know, mulling about, doing a few things and just noticing it when I was looting. The next thing that they are doing is they are preparing for private servers to have more control over loot on their servers. So I went through this a little bit on the last video I did. It's basically to do with putting set amounts onto loot. So you could say only have 8 SVDs on the whole map, and none will spawn unless one of those 8 are either damaged or destroyed or sold to the trader. So we could have private servers placing these sort of limitations on loot, on certain items of loot. So then, you know, you're not getting massive squads that are just getting 20 RPGs, things like this. We could only have, say, 5 RPGs on the whole entire map. You know, things like that. So it's not OP for massive squads. Then again, you know, I don't think it really matters with massive squads. If you've got a squad of 20, they're going to find stuff no matter how many limitations you put on them. It's just the way it works with Scum with massive squads. The more heads you've got in your squad, the easier it is to loot and find stuff, really. So, if we move on from this, and we go straight onto the hunting rework. So that's right, the second rework won't be the last one as well. But for now, let's focus on hunting. It's been completely revamped and will require a lot more skill to hunt that big or small game. So get your hunting rifles, your fuzzy wool hats, and some beers. Because we know no one hunts sober. And listen up. The hunt will start as soon as you hear an animal noise somewhere. So when I was playing last night, I noticed an animal sound. I wasn't in awareness or anything. I was just running and I heard a chicken to my right. I then stopped, looked to my right, went into focus mode. And then I heard a clucking, a faint clucking. So then I walked towards that sound. And then while I was walking towards that sound, I stayed in awareness mode. And I came across a track. I then followed that track north, probably about 100 meters, 200 meters. I found another track. that said head north. I headed north again, another 200 meters or so. I found another track, and on that track it said head northwest. And as I started heading northwest about 100 meters away, I heard the clucking sort of intensify and get a bit quicker, like it was closer to me. And then about 100 meters or so away, after I traveled a bit, I could see the chicken in the field. So I think it's a good rework. I enjoyed the mechanics of it. Again, with these reworks, small things may change over the coming days on these patches and things. So I'm going to hold off on doing guides and tips videos until beginning of next week, just in case any patches come in over the next few days that may change or revert anything. I'd rather not give you guys videos that then I have to, you know, redo because I've got something wrong or because something's changed. So hunting rework, I think you're going to have to get used to a little bit, but I believe it's going to be one of those things that people are going to enjoy very thoroughly when they get the hang of it. And believe me, it's not difficult to pick up at all. I mean, it took me, I think it was about 5 minutes to find that chicken last night, and then I had food. So lovely, really, isn't it? It's not bad at all. Whereas before you'd just come across an animal randomly, you won't get this anymore. Animals will only spawn in after you activate this hunting minigame. So this relieves a lot of pressure. I say a lot of pressure. It's pressure that's not needed on the server, that's now not on the servers. So the performance will thank us for that slightly. And I think, you know, the gamers that are on for 8 hours a day, you know, like putting time and effort into these sort of games, they'll notice it a bit more, I think, than the average sort of player that comes in, plays 2-3 hours of Scum a week or something. Again, nothing wrong with that. If you've only got sort of, you know, a few hours a week to play Scum, but you really want to get into Scum, then why not? Like, all for it. Jump in and give it a go. Okay, so moving on to cooking rework. This is a big one. Finally, after all this time, the cooking rework has landed in Scum. And believe me, it has been a very long time. And we are all very happy with it. I am happy with it at the moment. I jumped into a bit of single player yesterday just to mess around with the cooking mechanics, just to have a little get a feel of it. And to be honest, as complicated as it seemed on the event, when people did the event and the streamers showcased it and stuff, it's actually not that bad when you understand it. You know, it took me a few minutes to sort of sit there and get the hang of how to actually set the recipe up and get the recipe out. But I'm really, really enjoying this cooking rework, and I can't wait to see what else they do with it. In regards to sort of like the electric and gas systems with appliances and things like that. So as we know, we have the grills. So you can find the grills on the left hand side of this image. As you can see, you have to find these ones, you can't make them. The ones on the right are the original, you know, makeshift grills that we originally had. They've been reworked now as well, so you'll be able to use them like normal again. But with the other grills, you are going to have to find or loot them from somewhere. So gas and electricity, which is playing a part in this, you will now find these gas tanks. Now these gas tanks are propane tanks that you will need to fill up. As you can see, this green area around it is in a radius. So anything inside that radius will be powered by gas. Okay, so with these gas tanks, you'll need to fill them up at these big propane tanks at gas stations. But that does mean that there is a radius environment. It doesn't work on wiring or anything like that. So you don't have to connect anything. It's just a radius circle. As long as that's close enough, it will work. So small electric generators like these, portable ones, you can find these around the island, and you will need to fill them up with gasoline for them to work. But these will power all of your electric needs, including electric stoves and refrigerators. Now, prefab ovens are only in prefabs. At the moment, you cannot get an oven for your base, but you can get, obviously, the portable stoves and a portable fridge. So these items you can find, you can bring them back to your base along with a generator and a gas tank, and then you can live happily inside your base without the worry of going to a prefab. The only thing you will need to go to a prefab for is to use an oven. But this may change, as I said, in the future. with them either making craftable oven or, you know, finding an oven of some sort, finding parts for it, and as I say, crafting one would be a good idea, but we'll have to wait and see on that. Also, as we know, cookbooks are going to be a huge thing with the cooking rework. So if you want to cook special sort of recipes and stuff like that, and things that are going to help you a lot more with your accumulated fatigue rather than just using a grill and grilling meat and sausages and stuff, we'll need a cookbook. So there are a few items that you can cook off the top of your head, like skewers, coffee, tea, but if you want to go into more complex things, you will need to find these books around the island. So moving on to mechs, there's a new mech or a new century, whichever you'd like to call it, and these guys are a beast. I did get caught by one of these yesterday in a single player, and it obliterated me with that railgun on top of it. So just watch out for them. Long distance, if you're firing at them long distance, they will still get you with that railgun. These things are beastie, but we do have rocket launcher to take care of them now. So we've got the AT4 and the RPG-7. Now the AT4 is a single use launcher. You fire it once and you throw it away. With the RPG-7, you can reload this as many times as you want until it blows up or breaks. So BCU locks are now in the game also. We did cover these a little bit in the past, but I'll go over them again quickly now. With BCU locks, you can lock one door in a base with this. So you can only have one per base, but you can only access that lock or unlock that lock with a BCU. There is no, you can't lockpick it or anything like this. So you will need the person's BCU lock to be able to get into there, I believe. So you can, if they're in a squad, you can kill one of their squad members, get their squad member's BCU and access it that way. Because obviously they're in a squad, they're going to have access to that BCU in that base. But I will test these out a bit more and bring a bigger video on it when I can. BCU locks, I believe they may change a little bit here and there over the next sort of week or so, depending on feedback and stuff from them. So I'm going to give them a bit of time just to sit in and make sure they're working properly. There's no exploits, etc. to them before I start making videos on them. Up next, we've got CS gas, tear gas. Now, this stuff does give you certain effects. If you're caught inside it, you'll get bloodshot eyes, disorientation, this sort of stuff. And yeah, it's not pleasant. The mechs will fire these at you, and if you destroy a mech, there is a chance that you'll be able to loot some of these out of the mech. So yes, mechs do drop loot now, and it is good loot. You'll get stuff like C4 boards, grenades, tear gas grenades. You can find BCU locks with mechs. So that's one place I know for a fact you can find a BCU lock, is killing a mech. But moving on, we have Cusco, which is the new big city POI that is expanded onto the nuclear site. Now, some of this area is radiated. It does have this fog, you know, atmosphere around the areas, but they have said they are going to bring in a dynamic sort of event to take place around this area with this fog. Whether or not they do this with Summerbore as well is another question. I don't know any information on that, but the information I do know is that they want to bring in this fog to start off at the nuclear site, and then random events as such will spread fog out to certain areas around the nuclear site randomly. So it's not going to be the same every single time, so that people can then, you know, learn it and avoid it. It's going to be completely random, which I think will please a lot of people with this sort of fog and atmosphere effect, if it's like a dynamic weather thing and it's moving around or it's changing rather than it just being a static item. Next up, we've got smoking. Now, smoking was brought into the game, and this has different effects on your body. So, exhaustion, which was previously named accumulated fatigue. So this has been reworked now into a body condition named exhaustion. Instead of immediately lowering your max stamina as you get exhausted, this body condition will have a buffer. The C1 severity of this body condition will act as this buffer. This means that your max stamina will not lower until the exhaustion body effect has reached C2 severity. Just as before, exhaustion can be temporarily lowered by drinking energy drinks or permanently lowered by eating good food, resting, and smoking. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, you are now free to poison yourself through cigarettes in the game. That's right, after all this time, those packs of cigarettes you've been finding around have their usage now. Cigarettes are not the only thing that can be smoked though. Yes, it's here, you can stop asking. You can now farm cannabis. RP players rejoice. As for how to farm them, you can check that out in the farming patch notes so I don't have to repeat myself. So basically it's going to be exactly the same way you do any sort of farming. Same principles, you know, get a seed, put it down, water it, look after it, it will grow, use it. Okay, so when you manage to get the plant that will give you the buds, all you need is some paper. You know, paper, that item you have littered the server with every time you found ammo box or a diary. Then you just select one, select the other, and roll it up. Voila. You have now committed a crime, but you're already a prisoner on the island, so don't think anyone should care much. But again, everything has consequences, so does cannabinoid poisoning. Cannabinoid poisoning. C1 symptoms, disorientation, bloodshot eyes. C2 is bloodshot eyes intensity increases. On a C3, you'll have diarrhea, dizziness, and heightened senses. And on a C4, you have heightened senses intensifies. And vomiting also. So, don't smoke too much without eating because you will feel that. So, anyway, moving on, we have a new pistol by the name of a Kruger. It's very similar to a Luger, I know, but they've named it a Kruger. This fires 11 rounds of .22 ammunition. Lovely new weapon there, and plenty more to come in the future. But last but not least, we have private server settings. There's a big change in the way server settings work now as well. You no longer have to mess around with the files and provider overlays for them. All settings can now easily be accessed and tweaked in-game in the menu. Simply connect to your server or single player game and open the menu. You will see a new option called server settings. So inside there you can literally control all your server settings rather than having to mess around with it outside of the game, which is a massive quality of life improvement for not just admins but single player users as well. So big changes there in this update. I know it's been a bit of a long video, but there was a lot to get through. As I said, in the coming week or so, I will make guides, tips, videos on all of these things to give you more understanding, in-depth knowledge of them. But as I said, for now, I'm going to give it a few days, wait for the devs just to settle, get a patch out, because there's probably one going to be coming on Monday, and then we'll see where we go from there. Thank you for joining me today. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, give it a like. Hit that subscribe button. We're trying to hit 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year, and with your help, I know I'll get there. So thank you to everyone that has subscribed so far and that is currently supporting the channel. Much appreciated, and much love to you all. Thank you for joining me. Till the next one. See ya.